Welcome to Spin This Yarn. This is episode 1, and today we will be spinning this gorgeous baby. Okay, so I've attached my leader thread. Typically I use tencel or bamboo, but I'm out. So for this yarn, I'm just going to use some acrylic because I am spinning the vegan version of this bat, or hypoallergenic if you prefer. It has no animal fibers in it. This is all plant-based and synthetic materials. So this acrylic is also synthetic slash vegan slash hypoallergenic. I'm assuming you know how to attach a leader thread. We're not going to get into that. For this bat, what you're going to do is simply make a nice fluffy core spun single that will be spiral plied later. Now I really like to use a thick, heavy white foundation on my core spun yarns, because once you spiral ply this, the fibers will sort of open up and the white will show through, and it gives a really beautiful sort of muted, almost heathery effect. You'll see that in the finished yarn. And also I really think that white as a color is underappreciated and underutilized. This bat I was going sort of for a bright garden appearance. So there's a lot of colors that I don't typically use, but you know, sometimes it's good to step outside of your comfort zone, think outside the box a little bit, and challenge yourself as far as your standard color palette. So I am going to spin this into a single. This is 2 ounces, which I find is perfect for the 8-ounce bobbins once you ply it, because it's going to puff up quite a lot. Now that does give me some extra space to fill the bobbin. I could cram 4 ounces on there, but I prefer to do it into 2-ounce skeins. Just because then I'm not playing bobbin chicken at all. And plus my 2-ounce bats are more like 2 1/4. So in the final yarn, whatever you make, you're going to end up joining those 2 yarns. Since I'm doing this as 2-ounce bats, I'm just going to spin one for the video. You might lose a foot or so in joining, but that is, I'm going to increase my tension because you saw that little kink start to form there. That is made up for in the little bit of extra that you're going to get in this bat. So I am going to continue to core spin this nice fluffy single. Now when you're core spinning a nice fluffy single, you want to draft thick sections out, and you want to have your slowest ratio on your spinning wheel. And I like a rather heavy take up, so it's going into the wheel fast. And you can see this bobbin, I barely started and it is getting full. I don't know if I'm caught up on something. Oh, that's it right there. That's why my tension, yep, now my tension's too high. So you can see this 2 ounces will fill up this 8-ounce bobbin quite nicely in the finished yarn. Now I do have the Ashford Super Jumbo e-spinner, so I can fill this bobbin up and then ply onto that, which is what I typically do. But since there are so many people who do not have a country spinner or a Spinolution or one of the wheels that has those really massively large bobbins, I am just going to spin this on my Sidekick today. I love the Sidekick. I actually love all of Shaq's wheels. I really am curious about the flat iron. I'd love to get a chance to spin on one and check them out. But all their wheels are just top notch, really smooth spinning wheels. I got an opportunity at Black Sheep Gathering last year to spin on a Spinolution wheel, and I really liked it, but they're quite expensive. So when I got my tax return, I did opt for the Ashford jumbo e-spinner, just because I would be getting, for the same price, one of the sort of lower end Spinolution wheels, as I paid for the super jumbo Ashford e-spinner, and I am loving that thing. It's actually amazing. So now I'm going to finish core spinning this yarn. If you have questions, please post them in the comments below. And I am not great about YouTube. I'm just going to be honest about that. So if you want a quick answer, you can check out my Facebook page, which I will link below, or my Instagram, which I will also link below. I'm pretty quick on Instagram, fairly quick on Facebook, very slow on YouTube. So all your choice. I'm going to finish this up and I will come back to do the plying portion. Okay, so I've finished up the 2-ounce bat, and you can see that this bobbin is basically full. There's a little bit of room and I could cram more on here. It's also not super densely patched, so I could get a significant amount more fiber on here, but because I also want to be able to ply onto this 8-ounce bobbin, this is going to pack onto there. I'm probably going to have to force it on towards the end. So the 2-ounce bat is really perfect for these nice thick core spun singles or fatty yarns of any variety. Those 2-ounce bats are just about perfect. Now if you have 4-ounce bobbins, you would just split your bat in half and do 2 skeins, and that should serve you fine. However, you are going to want to take care, if you have cup hooks or a very small orifice, to be careful that you don't pull apart your core spun as it goes over the hooks or through the orifice, which on those 4-ounce flyers can be fairly small. So the 8-ounce is perfect, and that's why I'm going to use it for these demonstrations. Okay, so let's get to plying. Okay, so I've got my empty bobbin, I've got my full bobbin on the Lazy Kate to my right, which is where I prefer to keep my plying yarn, and I've got the thread. This is a very fine cotton thread. I've got a massive bobbin of it that I will use to spiral or coil, more somewhere in between the two, because I'm not going to super pack these like coils. To ply this, just because, as I mentioned, I am spinning the vegan version of this bat, and all of these Spin This Yarn bats will be available with both the hypoallergenic / vegan version and a wool version, so you have your choice there and you can still get this same gorgeous yarn. So I've attached my working yarn to my ply thread and both of them to the leader, and I will be plying in the Z direction or counterclockwise, which is a little bit less obvious on the side kick because the wheel sits between your legs, but I'm going to get more tension on here. So as you can see, this is a little snug fitting through the flyer hook option on the 8-ounce flyer for the shacks. I know Ashford's have also got a similar sliding hook situation going on now. And that's really where the Spinolutions sort of take the cake, because those pegs are just completely open. And you don't have to do this sort of fussing with getting it through, but that's really my only complaint about this wheel. And if I was doing this on the Ashford Super Jumbo E-Spinner, it would just glide right through, and I absolutely love the tension on that thing. It's just perfect. Although the manual country spinners, you can get a lot more tension, which I tend to prefer. but I haven't found that to be an issue yet. So you can see here as I apply this that I'm sort of holding my finger almost perpendicular to the yarn, and that's just, I mean, you don't have to do that, but what I'm really doing is just putting some tension. But the reason I like to do that is because it allows this coil to sort of run flat over my finger. You'll see sometimes where people, I don't know, the coils are just pressed together super tightly, and I don't really like that. I like more of a loosey goosey open coil. But I don't want any gaps like that. So this just helps me keep the exact amount of sort of coziness between each coil. And you can go at a little bit of an angle, but to be perfectly honest with you, that seems to sort of wash out in the finishing. Whether you do it straight perpendicular or at a little bit of an angle, these are going to relax a little, and you're going to get a little teeny bit of an angle either way. But the more of an angle you get on this, and I don't know if I'm, yeah, you can see this is kind of a pain in the ass, but what are you going to do? You can pull it out and just rerun it on if you don't like the angle or the way it looks. So you can see here, let's see where to go, right here, this has split open and you can almost see the core a little bit there, and that happens every once in a while with these, especially the bamboo fibers, when I don't have a nice sort of layer of the base wool or fiber running underneath it. This is just bamboo here. There's not a whole lot you can do about it, but I have noticed that it's really not noticeable in the finished yarn once you set your twist and everything. But you can go back and fix that. Just there you go. So I waited too long. It would have been much easier to fix that if I hadn't let it so much twist build up. All right, so again, I'm going to continue to ply this, and then I will come back at the end. Okay, so I am just about finished plying this up, and you can see the bobbin is full. It's not jam-packed like I've had to press it up against and manually rotate the flyer in the past, and that is not the case here. So you can see these 2-ounce bats are really just, they're perfect for your 8-ounce bobbin. So I am going to take this off and skein it up, and we will see what we have. Okay, here is the finished yarn. I steam set it, and I think it came out absolutely beautifully. Join me next week for another episode of Spin This Yarn.